Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our virtual open enrollment fair session. At this time, we will go over MetLife voluntary life and AD&D benefits for plan year 2024. Before we get started, I would like to brief everyone on a couple of housekeeping items. All attendees are muted and will remain muted throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please type it in the chat box located on the right-hand side of the presentation screen. Be informed that if you type a question in the chat box, everyone attending the session will see your question and your name. So if you have a question that is sensitive, confidential, or delicate in nature, we recommend that you reach out to the County Benefits Division or your department's benefits ambassador. Lastly, today's webinar is being recorded and a copy will be posted on the Benefits Open Enrollment website. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter, Tana Brown.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm actually in Texas. It's afternoon here, so glad to be with you. So we are going to talk about life insurance today. And, I'm in the insurance business, so I think it's kind of interesting. So I hope I can make it somewhat interesting for you. So let's get started here. So why do we even need life insurance? Life insurance is there to take care of our loved ones, those that we leave behind, so that our final wishes are taken care of, whether that's paying off a house, making sure a grandchild has money to go through college without debt. I mean, whatever your love letter is, that's what we want you to be able to leave behind. Now, these rates are based on you as a group. So you don't go through individual underwriting and then you receive your rate. The rates are there. We may ask you some questions, but that doesn't change the rate. Proceeds from any benefits that are left behind for beneficiaries are tax-free because these premiums are being taken out of your paycheck post-tax. And it is payroll deducted, so easy. Once you get set up, it just comes out of your check automatically. And you can take these coverages with you. They are portable and they're convertible. So portable meaning that whether you retire, you move on to another job outside of the county, that you call MetLife within 30 days of your last day at work, and you talk to us about your options. And your options are portability, which means you take it with you as a term life insurance. Term meaning that it does not accumulate cash value. It's in 5-year age brackets, so your rate can continue to increase as you jump age brackets. And conversion means that you talk to us about a whole life policy where you lock in your age and you lock in your rate. A little bit more expensive policy. That's what we call a completely different animal. You can accumulate cash value in those policies. So, all right, let's keep going here. So we want to talk about a special opportunity this year to obtain life insurance as a current employee. If you decide to elect life insurance or increase your life insurance, then you do have to fill out a statement of health, and that is a full list of questions. So this year, special opportunity for you that the county's offering that you can actually elect 1 to 6 times your base annual earnings by answering yes to 6 health questions. All right. Now, if you've ever seen our statement of health, it's a lot more than 6 questions. Now, again, this is just this year. You've got the dates here, the offers on the table from October 2nd to October 26th. All right, and this is for the employee only. So some of you may be thinking about, wanting to add your spouse and kids to the coverage. This opportunity is for employees only. Now, you can still add spouse and children to your coverage. They would just need to fill out a statement of health. We send that through underwriting, etc. So what are some questions included on this 6 questions? So it's things like in the past 5 years. So that type of question, have you had a cardiovascular disorder, a stroke or circulatory disorder, cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, diabetes, asthma, COPD. Those are some of the questions. There's if you've been hospitalized in the last 90 days, that's one of the questions. So if you could answer yes to any of those, you would just need to go ahead and fill out that full statement of health. But if you can answer no to those questions, then definitely this is an opportunity for you to move forward without a full statement of health. All right, so what is the benefit? So your supplemental life benefit is 1 to 6 times your base annual earnings to a maximum of $2 million. If I have any new hires on the phone, you actually have a guarantee issue of 3 times your annual salary. Guarantee issue meaning you can elect up to 3 times your annual salary without filling out health questions. The plan does have an accelerated benefit option, meaning if you were given a certain amount of time, you had a diagnosis, you had a certain amount of time to live, there is the ability to possibly take some of the benefits and do what you wish before. All right, you also have a separate voluntary AD&D benefit. So 1 to 3 times your annual earnings up to $1 million. Your spouse can
Dana,
also, yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in here just briefly for the supplemental life insurance for dependents. It's actually not available to dependents specifically.
Oh,
Voluntary AD&D would be available to dependents, but supplemental life would not extend
thank you.
to dependents.
Thank you so much. All right, so here we go. So here's the voluntary AD&D, and you can see your spouse can have a portion of what you elect. Kids can have 10%. And then just want to make sure that you know that you have to be on the plan to elect AD&D for dependents. Let's keep going here. So let's talk about a few living benefits is what we call them. And we call them the MetLife Advantages. So one of them is grief counseling, and this is through our partner LifeWorks. They've recently changed their name to TELUS, in case some of you have reached out to them before. So grief counseling, when I think of grief counseling, I think of that as, I've lost a loved one, maybe I've lost a pet. But this benefit is actually for more. Maybe you just have something going on that is causing you to need to speak to someone. That might be maybe your child has gone off to college and you're not handling it as well as you would like to. So maybe you'd like to reach out and speak to someone. So this benefit is there for everybody. The beneficiary grief counseling, should you pass, this is there for your beneficiaries. And both of these, again, are through LifeWorks or TELUS Health. Now, should you pass, or maybe you're covering your dependents for the AD&D and there's an accidental death, then the total control account is there for you. And this is a checking account where we can put the proceeds. That way you don't have to make any quick decisions. It's like a checking account, and we can give you checks to that. We can give you a credit card, and that way that money is just sitting there. You can take it out whenever you want, or you can leave it there, and it actually accumulates a small amount of interest. Now, travel assistance. So, since we've all, hopefully, most of us are traveling again, travel assistance is actually tied to the voluntary AD&D. So you do need to be enrolled on that to be able to use this. But I think a lot of us think about travel assistance if we're going out of the country, but this is actually available to you if you are 100 or more miles from home. You lose your luggage, you lose your credit card, you can give them a call and they'll help you work through things like that. Now, of course, it's there for you for international travel, for repatriation, even if you have a pet with you, getting them back to the US maybe. Maybe there's a traumatic event in another country and you need to get out of there quickly. This is all there for you. But I always like to mention that it's actually there for you if you're 100 or more miles from home. Now, if you're traveling with extended family, maybe friends, this benefit does not assist them. This is for you and your spouse and dependent children. All right, that middle column, planning. So face-to-face will preparations. Let's talk about that. So if you're enrolled in the supplemental life, you have access to that. Even if you're enrolled for a minimum amount, you have access. And this is through the MetLife legal plan. And you would just give them a call, let them know that you're an employee of the county. They find your information, good to go. And you can get a free will. So there's no copays, there's no deductible, but because you're enrolled in the supplemental life, you can get a will paid for, you can get a power of attorney paid for, and medical directives. So amazing benefit. You just need to use one of our in-network attorneys. They are all over the US. You can do this over the phone. Or you can go visit them in person. So they'll actually, while you're on the phone with the MetLife legal team, they'll find an attorney in your area. They'll give you a authorization code. And when you call that MetLife legal plan attorney, you'll give them that code and they will, they'll know you're with the MetLife legal plan. That's how they get paid. So they're definitely going to ask you for that authorization code. Now, thinking about what if I already have a will, but I need some updates? This plan can help you with that too. There's no minimum, or what should I say, maximum amount of updates that you can get. Maybe you want a separate will from your spouse. This plan can help you with that. And then we've been talking more about kids, that go off to college, go off and maybe they're still a dependent, they're taking a year off, etc. And but they've turned 18. So now, if you wanted to call and speak with a doctor or someone on their behalf, you would probably need some kind of power of attorney to do that. So this plan could help you with that too. Now, beneath, you can see face-to-face estate resolution. So this would help you or a dependent if you needed to talk about probate and getting through that whole process of what happens after someone passes. And then we've got the digital estate planning. So these first three on this list are all through the MetLife legal plan. And that digital estate planning is actually through the MetLife legal plan website. So again, you need to call our team members there, get access to the website, but this is 24/7 access to do a will online. So let's talk about just a few things that maybe would make you ineligible to do that. So if you have assets overseas, if you have an adult handicapped child, or you think your final wishes might be contested, it'll ask you these questions. If you answer yes, they're going to refer you to call the MetLife legal plan and get an attorney assigned to you. Right. Down below that is willcenter.com, and that is available to everybody. That's we're actually not partners with willcenter.com. It's an online avenue to do an online will. And we just always want to make sure that that we let you know about that. And then funeral planning services is through our partner Dignity Memorial. And this offers you a discount because you're going to let them know that you're a MetLife customer through the county, and they can offer you, I think it's up to 10% off of, cremation, pre-need funeral planning, if you want to go ahead and put money down towards a service, flowers, casket, etc. Be sure and give them a call. Great opportunity to, just put some things in place ahead of time. And they are a nationwide network. All right, last column over there to the right, protection. So want to make sure, we talked about conversion and portability earlier. We've got a team transition solutions that should there be a passing, they can help walk you through the process. What are my next steps? Okay. And then another reminder on that portability, if you've got a transition coming up, be sure and give us a call. Portability would be taking the coverage with you as a term coverage. And keep in mind that voluntary AD&D, that is portable also. So just want to let you know that. And then conversion would be for the life insurance, and that's taking the life insurance with you as a whole life policy. So rates are definitely going to change, but different type of policy. You've locked in your age, you've locked in the amount. So with those policies, once you've locked that age in, the rates don't change. So just always like to talk about options. All right, so here's our resources page. We talked about LifeWorks for grief counseling, for beneficiary grief counseling, and then the MetLife legal plan, will prep, estate resolution, and digital estate planning. Keep in mind, you do need to be on the supplemental life for at least a minimum amount. And then Dignity Memorial is there for you if you want to talk about setting up a pre-need funeral planning. All right, so we touched on travel assistance, but here's their information. And this is tied to the voluntary AD&D. We also have our personal financial profile. This is available to anyone. It's got a QR code here, so I'll keep this up for a few seconds here, but great way to have a place to put passwords to credit cards, passwords to banking accounts, etc. And this came out of a situation that happened to an employee at MetLife where her husband suddenly passed and everything was on his laptop and she didn't have the password to his laptop. So she couldn't get in and see, he'd been so good and saved everything down in one place so it would easily be found, but she couldn't get in to see it. So this is a paper copy. It's not, when you get in there, it's not what I call it fillable, where you just, online fill it in. It is a Word document that you print out, you fill it in and, put in a place where your loved ones would know where to look. And this isn't only in the case of a passing, but if you had an accident and couldn't speak for yourself for a little while, that people would know who to call, where things are kept, etc. So really nice organizational document. So feel free to share this, friends, family, etc. You may want to have one, your significant other have one, etc. Okay, that's the end of the formal presentation. Any questions?
Hi, Tina. We do have a couple of questions that came through the chat. The first one is regarding the term life insurance. The individual is requesting some clarification. I understand this is in effect only as long as I am an employee of the county. However, if I get a terminal illness, my expectation is that I would lose my job before I pass away. So in that case, my family would receive no benefit. Can you explain?
Oh, sure. So there is what we call a waiver of premium benefit, where if you went out on disability, let's say, due to the illness, you would definitely want to call and get the details on waiver of premium. What's the waiting period? How long can I stay on waiver? Meaning, how long do I continue to pay for the insurance before the waiver of premium, or you quit paying for it comes about? How long can I stay on waiver of premium before that benefit goes away? And then definitely you would want to talk to us about taking the coverage with you. You probably, like, let's say you were ill, you would definitely want to port the coverage. When you convert, my understanding is you do fill out health questions to move into a whole life policy. But so you would definitely want to talk about portability. So even if something, I'll call it catastrophic, happened like that, you still do have the opportunity to take the coverage with you. So whether you became ill and went out on disability, or you transition to a new job, or you retire.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question. When you retire, do you have an option to keep your MetLife insurance plan? So it sounds like you actually answered it in that previous question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just another add-on to the first question regarding the terminal illness and the waiver of premium. And this may not just help myself, but other participants. I have my terminal illness. I'm not able to pay my premiums, but my employment ends. Is that waiver of premium still applicable up to a certain point of time, even after my employment ends? Because then we get into the portability and conversion options. So how does that come into play?
So that's kind of not my specialty in there, but we would definitely walk you through that process. And I would assume kind of HR kind of gets involved in that too when employees go out due to illness. And we kind of give you the guidelines around that, like when you need to apply, what the waiting period is, things like that. So sorry, I can't give you a lot of details on that, but there is like a defined process for that.
Oh, excellent. That's helpful to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question I can answer actually, will the slide deck be provided to the attendees? For all of you attending, the presentation is being recorded. We will post it on the benefits website. And if you would like to reach out to the benefits division directly via email, we can email you a copy of the slide deck as well. And I will put our email address in the chat right now.
So just want to remind everyone of the special opportunity. I'm going to go back to the slide here. For employees for the supplemental life, the 6 health questions to increase purchase for the first time your supplemental life. We know things change. We buy houses, we buy cars, we get married, have kids, grandkids, whatever. Things change, and sometimes we have more obligations. So I want to make sure we tout this. Only available this year. You do have to apply during open enrollment, October 2nd through October 26th.
Dana, could you go in more details regarding the waiver of premium, what that means, and maybe a little additional information about the process itself?
So I can give you a little bit more about that. So waiver of premium is when you go out due to illness on disability, and there is usually a waiting period, and I don't have like your plan doc sitting here in front of me, but usually it's 9 months, let's say, just example, and you do continue to pay the premium. And then if you are not back at work at that time, usually the waiver of premium begins. And there's usually a defined amount of time that will last where you no longer pay the premium for your life insurance. Right. And then if that is going to come to an end, then you have the option to port the coverage. Anytime you're going to go out on a leave like this, though, I highly suggest you're probably coordinating with your HR team at the county, and then B, that you call MetLife and you have them send you a packet, because you do need to notify us that you're going out, etc. So I know that's not detailed information, but there is a defined process for this. And there's a whole special team at MetLife that handles these types of things too.
Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't feel like you have to wait. Like, let's say you've received a diagnosis, maybe you're working another couple weeks, whatever, you're waiting for surgery to come up, something like that, and then you know you're going to be out for a while. Definitely go ahead and call ahead. You don't have to wait until you're out on leave. Go ahead and give us a call, get that started.
Great. Next question. I believe I can answer this. For the past 5 years, I have elected 6 times my annual salary. Will I still need to answer the 6 questions since I currently have this coverage? The answer to that is no. The 6 times your annual salary is actually the maximum amount of coverage you can have under the company's policy. So you do not need to answer any additional questions or do a statement of health, so to speak.
Yeah, let me pull that. There you go. Yeah, you are good.
I see that my colleague has pasted into the chat a link to the MetLife resources page. And there is a link to the waiver of premium form for any of you who would like to capture that and maybe have it handy in case you need it in the future. But there is a waiver of premium form pasted into the chat corner here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tammy. Yeah. Another question regarding terminal illness.
Oh.
The individual is asking, why would anybody grant me whole life insurance if I have a terminal illness?
So you would not be eligible for the whole life coverage if you had a terminal illness. You do have to go through underwriting when you convert to a whole life policy.
Going back to information regarding the supplemental life, the individual is asking, is the 6 times the annual income policy separate from the supplemental? And do they pay out different amounts? So to answer that question, the county offers company paid life insurance for this, and then there is a separate supplemental. So basically, if you're going to do the supplemental life insurance, you're paying for that yourself, but you have additional coverage in addition to what the county is already paying for you. So I hope that answers your question. And the 6 times, to answer that further, the 6 times cap is only for the supplemental life insurance.
Are they defined amounts for the employer paid life insurance?
Double check. We do have our different union groups, and there are different amounts.
Yeah.
Some is 1 times your annual salary,
Sure.
some is 2. So let me go to our resource page here, and I can paste the link in there for all attendees so you can look up your union classification and what the caps would be for your company paid life.
So no decision to be made on the basic life. That's employer paid, given to you. So the supplemental life is where a decision is made.
That I can find here. Great questions, everyone.
Yeah.
If I may step in just briefly here regarding some of the questions surrounding terminal illness, the plans do have kind of an integrated accelerated benefit option. So essentially, if you are deemed terminally ill, and the clause here is you are expected to pass away within 12 months, you essentially have a benefit that will give you up to 75% your basic or your supplemental life amount, and that's not to exceed 500,000. So we can see it listed here on the screen. You would essentially have to contact us. There are some parameters that we would have to require in order to gauge your eligibility for this accelerated benefit option. But there are some additional, I guess, avenues that you could take if you were in such a situation.
Thank you for that additional information, Josh. So I did post into the chat here a link to the benefit summaries, which will direct you to the county's website. And if you know your union classification or union code, you can refer to that benefit plan summary, and it'll give you a brief description of what your basic life insurance coverage would be.
I can also see a question in the chat that looks like it's pretty particular. It may have been based on what I was saying. So for the proof of your terminal illness, this is actually something that we would kind of work with your physician to deem. So we would need a completed accelerated benefit claim form. We would need a signed physician certification that you are deemed terminally ill. And if we request it, we may need an examination by a physician as well.
And I apologize. I don't know if this question got answered while I was doing some research regarding the benefit summary, but an individual is asking if we can continue with MetLife after I retire. How will the payments to my family be made if something happens to me? What does 6 times of salary would that get to? What does 6 times of salary would get to change to, if any?
So, I don't think I understood that last part, but you can take the coverage with you when you retire. You just need to call us within 30 days of your last day at work. And there's a packet, they talk to you on the phone, they send you a packet, and there are certain time frames for you to apply. And then we set you up on direct bill. So whether that's through checking account, et cetera, but happy retirement, and let us just check-o-matic you, right? And you just keep on going. But yeah, that 30 days is real important that you reach out to us. And you don't have to wait until date of retirement. You can call ahead of time. Hey, this is what I'm planning. Can I go ahead and get a packet? Can I talk to someone now? Like, that's not a problem. Read me that last part of the question again, if you would.
Absolutely. It's asking, what does 6 times of salary would get to change to, if any? So I'm assuming, and if the employee can reach back out to us, I'm assuming they're asking if they currently have 6 times, can they change it?
You
So
can. You can reduce it if you want.
Another great question. If I currently have supplemental coverage at 3 times my salary, can this be changed to 6 times? And the answer is yes. I believe you would be required to complete a statement of health. It is not automatic that your increase or request to change to 6 times. Again, that statement of health would be required. It would go through a review with MetLife. The county would be notified whether or not it's approved, and then we make the payroll deductions based on that approval or denial.
So, Josh, in a situation where someone's on the plan currently, but they want to increase, could they still answer the 6 health questions for the increase?
Yeah, especially during this special period that we're having now. So it's going to be the shorter form this time around. So for this year, during your open enrollment, you would be subjected to only answering 6 of those questions that we went over earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for clarifying, Josh.
I wanted to say that, but I thought, I'm going to check with Josh. Yeah, so, I mean, those 6 questions, now, if you answer yes to any of the 6 questions, that doesn't mean you can't have insurance. We just need you to fill out the long form and apply, because we need more information to send to underwriting. So I don't want anyone to completely, oh, I have to answer yes, I'm done. No, fill out the long questionnaire. But, it's going to be questions in the last 5 years, cardiac or cardiovascular disorder, stroke, cancer, diabetes, asthma. Have you been hospitalized in the last 90 days? There's a couple of questions in here if you're a Connecticut resident, but any of yeses, you need to fill out the long form. All right, so I'm looking for any questions maybe on our MetLife Advantages. The grief counseling, the travel assistance, the will prep.
Okay. For the employee who's asking about the increase from the 3 times to the 6 times, just to clear the air a little more, I think I may have confused her a little bit. You are only required to answer the 6 questions, not the full statement of health. And as Tana was mentioning, if any of the responses to the 6 questions are a yes, then you would be required to complete additional paperwork, such as the full statement of health.
Yeah. That's only from October 2nd to October 26th that offer's on the table. So.
And we got to thank you. Perfect. You're
All right.
welcome.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, I'm going to pull up the personal financial profile just in case anyone needs that QR code. We certainly want people to take advantage of that. So again, this is where you can list doctors, phone numbers, savings account numbers, passwords, things like that. But it's on paper, so it's not locked up on a laptop, and we want this to be where someone could easily get to it if they needed to.
All right, Dana, does the will planning include trusts?
Good question. Yay. Okay. So this does not include trust, but what you could do is go ahead and have the will done, the power of attorney, medical directives, and then have the attorney give you the additional cost for the trust. So you would only pay for the trust, not for everything else. And we do have people do that, definitely. Yeah, it's nice if you have small children, and you're want to remind everyone to make sure their beneficiaries are up to date. But when you have small children, we kind of encourage you to have a trust to leave as the beneficiary. Because small children, we cannot pay a benefit out until they turn 18. So. Even if you're single and, don't have a lot of assets or whatever, everybody needs a will for those last wishes.
It looks like there was also a question in the chat here regarding the need for life insurance after retirement, especially if their wife or their spouse is listed as the beneficiary of their retirement. And initial thoughts here is in retirement, I assume that you're talking about collecting Social Security after you retire. Your life insurance policy, if you chose to keep it in force into your retirement, most of these plans these days extend well into 90 years. So you could maintain coverage till about 90 years old, in some cases even longer.
Yeah.
So you would essentially have an additional benefit that's completely separated from Social Security in the case that you do pass. And your spouse could be the beneficiary for that as well. So it's really about peace of mind. And if you're not confident that your Social Security may be enough to take you from 65 all the way to 90 and beyond, life insurance can really play a huge role in taking some pressure off of the burden of what may happen when I do pass.
Yeah, that's an excellent point you bring up. The life table is to age 99, FYI. And, I have older parents. My husband, has some others in memory care, and having the primary, maybe, yeah, let's say a county retired employee pass and leaving behind a benefit, maybe they were taking care of the spouse, and now that spouse needs to go into some kind of assistance facility, something like that. Having that life insurance there to help with that cost, to help with the kids paying for this, etc., paying for someone to stay with them. I mean, you just never know. I mean, you never hear anyone say, oh, they left too much life insurance behind. But keeping those beneficiaries up to date is so important, though. And, and you think about, even if someone, the person you're leaving behind doesn't need assistance, etc., but leaving them the money to, if, things happen, repairs on a house, all of a sudden your car goes out and they're faced with, and I mean, the increase in the cost of cars now is amazing. So just having that money there to help with kind of unexpected expenses, really great peace of mind, especially when you're on a fixed income. But that kind of leads into why it's important to have a will, so your final wishes are defined and everything goes smoothly. And that can be using the MetLife legal plan, calling us up and getting assigned to an attorney, or getting access to our website and doing everything online through the digital estate planning. And that digital estate planning walks you through the whole process. And then depending on what, well, probably most of you are in California, but it'll tell you your next steps. You know, print this out. You need to have it notarized. Do you want to file it with the county? Things like that. So it'll give you all the next steps too.
Tana, you may have covered this earlier regarding the trust and the will. If an employee just carries basic life insurance, do they have access to the will and everything else?
They don't. You do have to be on the supplemental life to use anything through the MetLife legal plan, the face-to-face will prep, the face-to-face estate resolution, and the digital estate planning. Now, that fourth bullet point, willcenter.com, that's available to everybody. That's not MetLife affiliated. That's just there as an FYI. So they can definitely go online and do a will through that, no cost.
This is great information. Thank you for clarifying.
Mm-hmm. But I will say, if you're not on the supplemental line right now, perfect opportunity to join for at least the minimum increment with just those 6 health questions.
Okay, I see a question came through. Let me read through it. Let's see what we have here. Okay, my question is that while I am working for the county, if something happens to me, MetLife will pay my beneficiary 3 to 6 times of my salary. But what if I am retired and continue with MetLife insurance? Then what is the payment amount to my beneficiaries?
So that would depend on when you ported the coverage. You called us within 30 days of your last day of retirement, and you've got that set up, and you're going to list a beneficiary on that policy. And so when we're notified of that, of your passing, then we would send the proceeds to the beneficiary. I mean, it pretty much works the same way as if you were an active employee with the county. You tell us your final wishes, who you want it to be left to, and you elect the amount to take with you. Now, it can't be more than the amount that you have when you retire, though. Let's go back to the MetLife advantages here. Any questions here? You know what? I'm going to go to the resources page. There we go, in case somebody wants to take a picture of that. So keep in mind, anything under that the top green part, LifeWorks, actually anything in green is available to employees, whether they're on the supplemental life or not. So that's available to everyone. And then the blue is available to employees who are enrolled in excuse me, at least the minimum increment for the supplemental life.
Another great question just came through. Is 6 times salary based on regular salary? So I work a lot of OT. Does OT get calculated into the 6 times salary, or is it just based on regular salary?
It is based on your regular salary. 1 to 6 times your basic or base annual earnings. So OT would not be included in that calculation.
Great, thank you. Another great question has come through. What is estate resolution?
Sure. That has to do with someone has passed and now you're getting into what are their final wishes. So that's the probate process where you actually dig into the will and figure out what the final wishes are and how we're going to, if money's being left to several different people, how we're going to divvy that up. It's just that whole process, kind of breaking apart the will.
And if I may step in here, it kind of covers a decent spread. So it can be things like distributing their assets, paying off debts or taxes, and then basically what Tana was saying, ensuring that their last wishes are followed.
I can't imagine doing that without assistance, honestly.
I just wanted to kind of circle back on one more question that we were talking about. If retirement comes into play and they have elected 3 times, 4 times, all the way up to 6 times the amount, and they're wanting to port it, it seems like the question is, if they do in fact have 6 times their annual salary, when they do retire and they go to port, would that same level of coverage be electable in the portability?
Yeah, it should be. Absolutely.
Yeah, from my understanding, you cannot go higher than the amount that you had on the day that you retired.
Yeah. So another reason to take advantage of, if you can do the 6 questions and answer yes, you've got retirement coming up in a few years. I mean, this opportunity is not an annual opportunity. Don't know if or when this opportunity might come up again. So if you kind of thinking in that direction and you're like, I'd really like to take with me a little bit more life insurance, great opportunity to elect more if you don't have the 1 times, 1 to 6 times your annual salary already.
And I also see a question in the chat. They're asking, once they do retire, what is the 6 times salary based on? Will it be based on my pension salary or my last salary amount before retirement? It will be based on your last salary amount, basically on your last day of work. It will be based on that amount.
Yep. The thing with life insurance, especially term life insurance, is it's a lot easier to go backwards and reduce it than it is to go forwards and increase it. So when you think about retirement and taking the coverage with you, you'll have the ability to decrease it at that time. But like I said, it's always easier to decrease than to increase. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about taking it with you. I can take it with me. I could take the 6 times my annual income at the point of retirement, take it with me. And then later, if you decided, I don't need that much, maybe I need to reduce the premium a little bit, you can always make changes later. So. I'm going to go back to the resources page. There we are. I'll remind everybody has access to the grief counseling and the beneficiary grief counseling. Everybody has access to Dignity Memorial, so the items in green. And then the items in blue are through the MetLife legal plan, and you do need to be enrolled in at least the minimum increment for the supplemental life.
There's a question here in the chat regarding the premium when you do retire. So I assume that we're talking about when you go to port your life insurance in retirement. So you would actually be contacting our transition solutions team, and a piece of their process is they will be underwriting you for your new rate that will be assigned to your coverage amount in retirement.
All right, travel assistance, here's the number for that. And this is available if you're enrolled in the accidental death and dismemberment coverage. But keep in mind, this isn't just an international benefit if you leave the country. This is if you're 100 miles or more from home and you lose your luggage, your credit cards, give them a call and let them help you out. They do a lot more than that, I will say. There's a lot.
Tina, sorry to interrupt. I just had a question come through. Is there a link to these resources as far as information for MetLife? I just posted in a chat a link to the county's website. And from there, there's plethora of other links you can click on for resources and information regarding the life insurance and AD&D.
Good deal. Thank you. Go back to the personal financial profile. If anyone needs that QR code. Easy way to just communicate where's my checking account, where's my savings, some passwords, mortgage papers, whatever information someone might need if maybe you couldn't speak for yourself. So let's go back to the offer on the table during this open enrollment is purchasing for the first time or maybe increasing your supplemental life insurance, only having to answer 6 health questions. And it's during this enrollment period only, October 2nd through October 26th. All right, if you answer yes to any of the questions, then you would need to fill out a full statement of health. But just want to make sure everyone knows this is available. So whether, again, enrolling for the first time, you're a current employee, you did not enroll as a new hire maybe, this opportunity is there for you to enroll for up to 1 to 6 times your base annual earnings. So that's not including overtime. Here's the benefit.
Dana, I would just like to share with everyone, I placed another link in the chat, and this link will actually take you to MetLife's website. It's the microsite for all county employees and provides a lot of information there as well.
Hey Josh, isn't there a life calculator in that microsite?
Oh, let me check. I believe so. Check that out.
Yeah, I think there is. I can navigate over there too to make sure. It looks like there is a life insurance calculator there. I'm loading it up now, and I can go ahead and share. Oh, it looks like I got beaten to it. Nidra shared the calculate your needs. That should be the link directly to the life insurance calculator.
Perfect.
We want to make sure everyone has the tools and information that they need, right?
It's a nice little calculator. I don't know if I don't know, Josh. I think they updated it about a year ago. I really like this one. I like pictures. It's very visually easy to use. Click here, click here, click here. And I think I like the questions it asks too. So and this by no means is to replace a financial planner or anything like that, but I think it kind of gets you thinking in that direction, though, some things um, that make you think, when I'm thinking about how much life insurance I need, is that something I should think about? Like maybe you got a car payment, a boat payment, a house payment, would I want my beneficiary to be able to pay these things off or, pay off a portion, like leave them enough to make payments for a year? Like, what can I afford versus, my needs? So.
Okay, I see that the link that I pasted in the chat gives an error message. The link is broken. And you are correct. After I saw your message, I just tried it myself. Let's see another workaround real quick here.
Josh, I was on a call yesterday that the calculator link was broken. I think it's the microsite. Especially if someone does it on their phone.
Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna try to see if I can get this link to work briefly.
Okay. I'm glad they said that because I was forgotten about that. I didn't think about it being all microsites, but I was thinking about the one yesterday. All right, so just a reminder, if you're already enrolled in the supplemental life, you're thinking about enrolling, as long as you're enrolled in the supplemental life, you do have access to face-to-face will preparation. That's going to include your will, your power of attorney, and your medical directives. It includes a state resolution, which would come about if there was a loss, someone did pass, and then you get into what are their final wishes, how to distribute proceeds, etc. And then the digital estate planning is also through the MetLife Legal Plan, and that is through our website. And it's a 24/7 access to set up a will. It's a will only, though. I don't believe it gets into medical directives and stuff. And then when you're finished with that, it tells you next steps, like go ahead and print this, sign it, or depends on what state you're in, but probably most you're in California, but it'll walk you through next steps, like getting it notarized. Do you want to file it with the county? Things like that. So those top 3 bullet points are, you have to be enrolled in at least one increment of the supplemental life. And then the willcenter.com is available to everyone. We're not affiliated with them. This is just an FYI. And then the funeral planning services is through Dignity Memorial, and that's available to everyone. You just give them a call and let them know that you're a MetLife customer, and you'll give them the county's name, and they'll see that you receive a discount. So let's go to the resources page here. So everything in the green is available to everybody. And then in the blue, you do have to be enrolled in the supplemental life. And then here's the travel assistance information. And that is tied to the accidental death and dismemberment. And that is good if you are 100 or more miles from home. And then here's the QR code for the personal financial profile. It's a great way to communicate if you are unable to, for some reason, telling who your doctors are, phone numbers, credit cards, passwords, all of that. So this is not an online tool. You print this out, you fill it out, put it in a safe place, but let those that are in the know where this document is. Who would you want contacted if you couldn't speak for yourself? All right, any more questions in the chat?
No other questions, but I want to share with everyone that Josh has shared the link to the calculator, and this one does work.
All right.
Okay.
That is great.
Thank you, Josh. It does look like we're at the top of the hour for our webinar here. I would like to thank Tana and Josh for delicately explaining everything. I know life insurance is a complicated, almost uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you for the gentle details to prepare us for our future. Before we wrap it up, Tana, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, just appreciate you all being a MetLife customer, and please, look at the opportunity this year. I'm going to go back to it one more time to increase or apply for the first time supplemental life for yourself by answering those 6 health questions. And then if you do answer yes to any of those questions, you can go ahead and fill out a full health questionnaire. That doesn't mean you're declined just because you answer yes to one. Go ahead and fill out the full statement of health and turn that in. We want to make sure that you all know about your opportunity to take care of anyone that you might leave behind. So no, that's it. Just thank you again. And I appreciate everyone's help on the call and the great questions.
And to Tana's point, I just wanted to step in here. She made a point earlier that it's much easier in the future to step down your coverage amount than it is to increase in the future. And that's a very good point. And I think coupled with this opportunity that we have coming up on October 2nd through the 26th, it may be the time to try to increase your coverage to an amount that you are comfortable with. And if it doesn't work for you, you can always step it down in the future.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. This does conclude the webinar. Everyone have a great day.